So I come out and I notice that the goats are all laying up here. They're all wandering around up here. And I've got one goat. Man, that's a big hawk that's been living here. One goat all the way in the back of the field. I'm hearing a little bit of fussing. So I can tell already before I get back there that the goat who is standing back in the back of the field, I can hear him now, has got his head stuck through the fence. So we're gonna go over and help him get out. And we'll get a lesson in why I now use fence that has a 2x2 square rather than the standard cattle field fencing that has a 4" by 6" square, because the goats can get their heads through the 4x6s too easily, and they always get them stuck. They can get them through, they can't get them back. So in a perfect world, I'd rip out all of this fence and start over. But for the time being, this is one of the things we have to pay attention to. So I'm gonna strap my head cam on here. Yeah, it's working, right? It actually looks like the fence that I have on this side. Those almost look like 4x4 squares, not the 4x6s. Now the other solution, or what we had come up with to keep them from doing this, was run electric fencing on the inside of our woven wire fence. The problem with that is if the fence is down for some reason, shorted out or not working, and they get their head stuck through the fence like this, then there's another piece of wire that they can get their... Hold on, baby. Ho, 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 ho. Hey, hey, hey. Oh. Hold on. Now, my technique is I turn their noses in through the corner like that, and by tucking their chin and pulling their nose through the square first, I'm kind of able to maneuver their horns back through the fence easier. That's not always possible. Sometimes their heads are too big for the squares they stick through, and then you got to get out wire cutters, and it's a whole different nightmare. They usually work themselves up pretty good once they're stuck. But having the hotline inside of this fence like this, it creates another wire that the goats can get caught in. And sometimes, I mean, if the wire's still hot and they get their head stuck in the fence, then it's a real problem, because then they're getting shocked until you find them, which hopefully isn't very long. I had a goat probably 7 years ago. Her name was Cupcake, and she was one of my milking goats, and she had managed to get herself stuck. She got her leg wrapped up in the electric wire, and it cinched down on her leg. Cut off the circulation to her back leg, and her leg was dead before I found her. She managed to, I don't know, she suffered for 2 weeks on 3 legs. We had to cut the dead leg off, and she ended up getting sepsis, and she ended up dying of infection. But that was a hard lesson learned. So I think that there's a hot wire. I think our fence is back here, if we're gonna have goats and sheep, probably need to be redone. I mean, I've gotten by on, I've had these fences since I bought the place. So I've gotten by with this for 11 years now. But in those 11 years, I've lost half a dozen goats to my fences. So those are hard losses to take, because they could have been avoided if I just put in the appropriate fencing firsthand, or the first time around. But these are the lessons I learned just doing things as I went. So I would suggest anybody starting, you could use just a hot wire fence without the woven wire mesh, if you can keep your fences hot enough to keep the goats from sneaking through them. Or I would go with a fence that has wires spaced such that they can't get their heads through it even if they tried. Because goats especially, I haven't had that problem with the sheep. Of course, the sheep aren't horned either, so they don't have the hardware to keep them caught in the fence. But I've definitely had issues with my goats getting their heads stuck in fences. So, hope that helps some people. Ducks are doing good back here. Hopefully they're getting their senses honed in so that they recognize this as where home is now. So soon I can start releasing them out on the pond and letting them graze. They'll be a lot happier. You just got to make sure that they're here long enough that this becomes home before I let them out, because I don't want them coming back up by the house. Too many ducks up by the house was getting too stinky. Ducks are very messy, and it seems like all birds are pretty stinky when you keep too many birds in too small of a space. Alright, well, mission was a success. We got our goat out. She's back with her family, and we can move on to the next adventure. Thanks for watching.